Back again. Oh, and immediately bouncing the camera. Okay. So welcome back. We are on part 3 of one sock inside the other. Just pull this puppy out. We got inside sock, outside sock. We did the cuff, we did the leg, we did the heel, I did the foot, and now we're at arguably the most complicated portion of this whole ordeal, which is the toe. Okay, so the reason this is the most complicated part of the whole sock is that this requires moving stitches around. Everything else has just been working with stitches already on the needle. So what we're going to do is we're going to decrease. I'm doing magic loops, so I have 2 needles. We're going to decrease 1 stitch on either side every other row. Now that's a very fast decrease for a toe. That's because this sock is so small. Normally you would do like a decrease row and then a couple plain rows and then a decrease row and then a couple plain rows. The same structure applies to those that we're going to do here. So we're going to do a slip knit on this side and a knit 2 together on this side. And the first thing we're going to do is slip the first stitch. And now we have 1 front stitch on the needle and the back stitch is in the way. So what we're going to do is slip both of them together as one and then put them back on the left-hand needle. And because we did a slip knit, now we have our 2 front stitches and we're gonna knit them together. And that's our first decrease. And now this stitch was already slipped the proper way. See the orientation? The left side leg is in front. So we're going to slip the second stitch as if to knit. And we're going to knit them together. And that's our first side. So now we go back to what we were doing when we're plain knitting across. So we're going to go to the end until there's 2 stitches remaining for each sock. So we have 2 front sock stitches and 2 back sock stitches. So now we're going to do a knit 2 together. So what you can do is there's a couple of options here. One is to take these stitches from the needle, flip them around, and then reorient them and all of that. What I usually do is just, this is a little, oops, sorry, I thought there was something in my arm. This is a little, yeah, I will just grab the 2 front sock stitches and knit them together and just leave the back stitch on there and then pop it out and right back on. I probably actually won't do that for the rest of this because that was really difficult to do when I can't look straight at it. So, knit 2 together. And that's our first needle decrease. So we're going to do that again on the second needle. And I'm going to do, so we're going to do slip knit. So slip these 2 together, pop them back on, and then knit the 2, oh my goodness, knit the 2 front stitches together, and just be very careful you're not getting no threads, no nothing. Oops, sorry about that. No tiny bits of yarn at all, because you don't want your socks to be attached here at the last moment. So slip, slip, proper orientation, stay in frame, and knit 2 together. Okay, and now we're going to do the other one, and we're going to do it the clearer way, because sometimes my little cheater ways are not good. I'm going to bring the front yarn to the back, and we're going to slip as if to purl, and then we're going to slip these 2 stitches, and then I'm going to put them back on the left-handed needle in the right direction. So I'm going to grab them and put them back on. So everything is now oriented with the right leg in front, and so now we can just knit 2 together and knit 2 to damn it. Just knit 2 together. Okay. I'm going to work 1 row plain and then do it again. So now we're going to do that decrease row again. And now, I know there are other types of socks, like a spiral sock. Toes. Other types of toes, like a spiral toe or like a circular decrease toe. All you have to know is this is teaching you how to do a slip, slip, knit, and a knit 2 together. So whichever one you use in whichever toe you want to do, that's what you do. So we slip a stitch, slip the next 2 as to knit, put everything back on, and then knit 2 together. This one's already slipped. Slip the next one, put it back on, knit 2 together. Go to the other end. Okay. 2 front stitches, 2 back stitches. So now we're going to slip as if to purl. Slip, slip the 2 stitches together. That part's always the same. And then put them back on the right way. And the fact of the matter is, if you end up doing it like this every single time, where you put them back on and they're all oriented the right way, if it's a slip, slip, knit, then you can just fully work the slip, slip, knit the way you would normally. And if it's a knit 2 together, you just, shit. Okay, I got it. If it's a knit 2 together, then you just knit the 2 together. So as long as you're not getting your yarns tangled and the stitches are being decreased, you're good. Okay, let's do it again. Now I'm going to go down to 8 stitches total on each on each needle of each sock. So I'm going from 32 stitches down to 16 stitches total, because we're going to graft the toes together. So slip the 2 together, place everything back on the needle. Dipped a little there, and we're gonna slip, slip, knit. Oh my god, I can actually knit, slip, slip, knit, And then this one's already slipped. We're going to slip this one. And there we go. Now we're going to go to the other end. Two front stitches, two back stitches. Slip is to purl. Slip these two together. Put them back on. Everything is ready. Knit two together on the front. Knit two together on the back. Okay. Now I'm going to work another row plain. Okay. Again. Slip. Slip. Put everything back on. Make sure you don't grab any bits. Front sock. Slip. Slip. Knit. And across. Two stitches. Slip. Slip. Put them back on. And done. Knit two together. Knit two together. Almost there. And I forgot to do the other side. I'm gonna tink, tink, and tink. Okay. Whoopsie. Here we go. Slip, slip two together, put them on, back on, and slip, slip, knit. Slip, slip, knit. And away we go. Whoops. Nope. There we go. Okay. Two stitches. Slip. Slip together. Put them back on. Knit two together. Knit two together. And Depending on how difficult you think grafting is, this is the most difficult part of this whole thing. Okay. Slip together. And see, if you put them back on in the right way, then you've slipped, knit, slip. No, I forgot to bring the yarn to the front. There we go. Slip, knit. Exactly the same on both sides. Think back. Okay. So, slip, put them back. Knit. Knit two together. Knit two together. Slip. Oh. Slip, knit, slip. My goodness. Knit. Okay. Slip together. Put them back on. Knit two together. Knit two together. Okay. So now we're gonna cut the yarn, leaving a long tail, and we're gonna graft these two toes together. Now, one final check that I like to do is just to make sure before it's all finished off, nothing is attached anywhere, and it's not. So, good. Now, gonna arrange these two. Now, normally with socks and sock yarn, I would use a needle like these, fairly blunt tips, embroidery, DMC needles. I like the thinness of them for yarn like this. But for this, we're gonna do some chunky boys. I got a silver one, which will be the inside sock, and this yarn is yellow, so I'm gonna do a goldy orangey one. Now, do you need to match your needle to your yarn? No. Should you probably use needles of different colors when doing this so that you can keep your two needles straight? Absolutely. If you have two different needles, don't have to be different colors, but like different kinds of needles, whatever. Grafting is pretty good in the fact that the size of the needle doesn't particularly matter as long as it fits through the hole. So everything you're doing is the same as regular grafting, but you're doing it twice. So we're going to go, when you first start, you do a purl on the front. Go in as to purl on the front, and then go in as to knit on the back. So what we have to do here is get around this stitch on the back needle to get to this stitch right here. So we're going to make sure we're not catching that, and we're going to go through that stitch. See, I'm going in as if to knit, and that's step one. Grafting is a purl on the front, a knit on the back. Now when I say purl and knit, I'm not really explaining grafting here. I'm just explaining how to do it on this situation. The way I think about grafting is whether you go into the stitch as if you're purling or whether you go into the stitch as if you're knitting. And that's how I keep things straight. So in this one, we're going to go into this stitch because this is the first stitch on the needle here. And we're going to try to keep it in the back. But we're going to go in as if to purl. So we're going to go straight across. Oh, not on camera. Okay. So we're going to go into this stitch as if we were purling. There's going to be a lot of yarns going around, so we're going to try and, I'm going to do my best. And then this back stitch, which is the first of this sock stitches on the back needle, we're going to go in as if to knit. So, and it's basically knitting is going in from the left side, left to right, and purling is going in from right to left. But that's what I mean when I say knit and purl. Okay, so that's the setup of grafting. And I wrap the yarn around the needle here, and that's just going to make things confusing. So hang on one second while I get that off. Okay, ignore that I just did that. So first step of the chant for grafting is knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. Okay, so we're gonna knit off, outside, staying on the outside of the whole situation, purl on. Now we do it again with the other yarn, and we're going to be on the inside. So knit off, purl, purl on. Don't wrap around the needle. Other yarn. Or actually, the back stitch is, it looks like we can go through the whole sequence here. It's been a minute since I did that. Sorry, I don't remember. So purl off, knit on. Now we drop this yarn. Now we pick up the outside yarn. Purl off. How did I go around? And staying on the outside of this outside sock, I keep wrapping the yarn around the needle, and that's a me thing, I think. Get back on there. Okay, sorry. What did I just do? Purl off, knit on. So we're gonna go. This is when it gets important to pay attention. So this yarn needs to stay out of the way. Okay. So we're gonna avoid. That's how I keep going around the needle. So we're gonna go under this inside stitch, and we're going to go through the outside stitch as if to knit. And we're going to drop. We're not going to drop. So now we're going to go, because this is an outside stitch, we're going to go into this stitch, knit off, purl on, and there it is. The other reason I don't like using these big giant needles with skinny yarn is they fall off. Okay. So, inside stitch. Why is... Did I put that back on wrong? Oh, no. No. Okay. So, sorry. Knit off. Avoid that stitch on the inside. Purl on. Oh, it should have been on the inside. That's on me. Focus. Purl on. Okay. And then we're going to take the back one. Purl off. Knit on. And we should see them both closing up. Okay. Outside. We're going purl off. Make sure this is all out of the way. Come around from the inside. Knit on. Knit off. Purl on. Inside. Knit off on the inside. Purl, not you. You can't come with us. Purl on. In the back off, knit on, outside, purl off, avoid this stitch, knit on, knit off, purl on. I really hope this is making sense. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. Nope. Open here. Another way, instead of just grabbing this in a slightly mangled way, is to go avoid that stitch by just going all the way through. So I literally just sewed the yarn around that stitch. And now I can go straight through. Like however it works for you. And then knit off, purl on. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on, purl off, knit off, whoop. Oh no. Come back. Okay. That's all we needed. Purl off. purl off, knit on, oh, that was another yarn over slip that I got caught on the needle. Knit off, purl on, we're so close. Okay, knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on, purl off, come on, knit, knit on, knit off, knit off, purl on, and then purl on. And moment of truth. Na-na. We have two grafted. Oh, I pulled that inside one tight. Have to be careful about that in the future. Two grafted matching socks, kind of. So that was the most complicated part of making 2 at a time socks. Another option you could do for the toe would be to just, when you get to the toe, separate them and graft them individually. Because that is really the most complex and stressful part of the whole situation. Just to keep in mind as well. So this is the sock made 2 at a time, and this is the same number of stitches and the same number of rows on a slightly smaller needle, but not that much smaller. And this is the size difference. So this is 20 rows from here to here. This is 20 rows from here to here. 20 rows, 20 rows. This ribbing is 7 rows of ribbing in both cases, over 32 stitches. And just to give you an idea of the size difference, this will loosen, 2 at a time will loosen up your gauge quite a bit. It's a much less dense fabric, but as you can see, it does work. So sometimes going down a needle size is worth it. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. Thanks for watching.